or follow through with your hand combination. Bruce wasn't much for combinations except when he was working in the film industry, but once again, two of the themes that he permeates his style is simplicity and movement. So we try to keep everything down to just what works. And when I work with Bruce, I said, there's only one thing in. Does this work? Can I make this? Can I make myself a better fighter? Can I use this in a tournament tomorrow? If I can't, throw it away. I'm not interested in working with it. As you can see, these techniques are very simple. The key here is learn to bridge that gap between the two of us. He was a stickler. He was a martinet for showing you how to explode, bridge that gap fast. Coming off that firing line and being able to bridge that gap quickly and deceptively. And I still work a lot of that quite a bit in my system today. So now we've got a good lead-off technique, with the hand upstairs, a good lead-off technique with the leg downstairs. Now, Bruce took my sidekick. I used to work a sidekick off the left side, stepping in, and I had 4 or 5 different ways of throwing it. And he said, Joe, I think you can get more power. And I said, sure. Sure, Bruce. I've been working on this thing an hour a day, every day, 7 days a week in Okinawa against a heavy bag. And then I'd go through a 3.5 hour class. You're going to show me how to get more power in the sidekick. Basically, this is what he worked on. Ron, let's go up against a heavy bag over here for a second. Now just pan with us over here. And just, Ron, you want to get us this side of the heavy bag and hold it? Okay. You got us in frame over there, both of us. Am I still in frame? Okay. I am in frame now? Okay, now watch. Let me take the shin pad off. Most people, when they throw a side kick, execute kicks against a heavy bag or focus pads or shields and against their opponents pretty much the same way I was showing you how they throw a traditional punch against a focus pad, the way Ron was holding it against the shoulder a while ago. Now hold it tight, Ron. Hold it tight. And come in and explode as hard as you can. And it sort of stops. The energy sort of freezes right there at the impact. Hold it again, Ron. Hold it tight. Hold it again, tight. Everything just sort of stopped. What Bruce tried to show me was, instead of tightening up at the point of contact, in other words, right as you make contact on the kick, don't tighten up, but relax, release that energy, follow through. Fluidness of your technique. Try to be water-like, just like this bag here is a water bag. I'll hold it tight again. All right. So you try to show him how to release the energy. It'll look a little more something like this. Notice how I got much more follow through in the end of that bag that time, and I drove Ron back. Why? Same kick, but there's more fluidness in my body. I was still exploding, but that time when I exploded, I didn't tighten down right at point of contact. I relaxed, and I was able to fully release, convert my energy, not to a force of impact, but into more of a flowing motion. I was able to transcend the bag and send the energy through to Ron and therefore drive Ron back. It's like taking 3 quarters. You play a little game when you were a kid. You put 2 quarters flat side by side against each other on the table. You take your finger, you hold the center coin, the center quarter. You take a 3rd quarter over here with this finger and you come up and you hit the stationary quarter and you send the other quarter to the opposite side, sending off the side of the table. Well, it's the exact same principle that we're utilizing here. I don't want to try to explain the physics involved, but I just want to give you a visual idea what it looks like. Hold it again. Releasing the energy at the point of impact. Releasing the energy, driving your opponent back. Does everybody got the idea what I mean by how to get more power in your kicks? All right, now Ron, come back over here a second. So now I had 2 good tournament techniques. The forward hand strike, where I was able to be more effective with it, and the side kick, which I was already beating everybody with, but now I had more explosive speed, and I even had more power, like I really needed power in point tournaments. Alright, so that was able to make me a more proficient fighter. Now we went down and we started getting into what Bruce Lee was really hot on, and that was sticky hand movements. Alright, Ron, face me right side forward. We would do this little drill. You see a lot of this in all of the Chinese styles, and even some of the Okinawan styles like Wataru, which is a Japanese style, Shitaru, in particular the Goju styles. Sticky hand movements. The idea is here I'm working on a principle which Bruce stressed is called constant forward pressure. The idea is I want constant pressure, I want it to be forward at all times, and I want it to be pressure. So with the wrist, we're just touching with the wrist. Unlike karate block where you block up, down, out, and in, you're dispersing your energy. You want all your energy going towards your opponent. So slowly I would push towards him and he'd push back. So I get a feel of where he's at. High or low. Everything is forward towards the opponent. Now we would do some sticky hand movements. Coming from here, he would show me some inside fighting, which is what we call trapping. Now watch, let me break these zones down. Out here, the outside zone, we have kicking, long range kicking. Here's the medium zone, you have long range punches and short range kicks. Inside here is your trapping zone. So now we're concentrating on becoming more efficient, more proficient on the inside of the trapping zone. Here's a little drill we used to work on to enhance my speed, my deceptiveness of my forehand strike. From this point here, we would take the rear hand. Does everybody see my rear hand? I'd come up, I would trap his forward arm, trap it. Notice as I trap it, it opens up a whole channel where I can, pathway straight to my opponent's face. Without me knocking his hand to the side, I'm just simply pulling it down. As I pull it down, it releases the energy on my front hand. The front hand goes straight forward. Here was the key. The traditional karate, according to Bruce, they would always block on the count of 1, punch on the count of 2. Block on the count of 1, counter kick on the count of 2. Everything happened in beats of 2. Here we were working on what we call economy of motion, making your techniques faster. So instead of going 1, 2, it was just simply a oneness. As soon as I dropped here, the hand was automatically there. So I was able to move faster by always thinking about this economy of motion principle. Now watch us do this drill. He's going to try a couple against me. Now when you trap with the rear hand, do not turn the shoulder to use the hand. Do not go 1, 2. That's incorrect. Everything is simply 1. And he's going to try to trap with the rear hand, throw the punch at my face. What I'm going to do is take my rear hand, and as this punch comes, fire one, and try to block it. So I got the idea? Now just try a few against me. Relax so you can move fast. Relax so you can move fast. Good. Relax on the end of the punch. Try not to leave that punch up, but try to pull it back before I block it now. Good. Watch, you going to turn the shoulder a little bit. Good. Now let me try a couple of you. Nice and relax. Nice and relax. Then once you get the front hand down where everything's looking good, then you learn to trap the front hand. See, I now trap the front hand, fire with the rear hand. Again, he would block. Now, if he traps here, he starts to throw the punch over. I can trap here, crisscross his arm, come over the top. Now this sticky hand stuff didn't impress me. What I used to do is go to parties and I get my sparring partner up there and we do this little drill like this. See who could tag who first. This really taught you how to use your peripheral awareness and develop an inner sixth sense of your opponent. And it enhanced your timing speed and it stabilized your concentration, okay? And it really made you a better fighter. If you could take this gimmick, practice enough times and take it into a tournament context. But here's where it played well for me. Now, square off against me is a boxer, left side forward. In boxing, what we do a lot is we throw a lot of jabs. Jab downstairs and jab upstairs. And one of my favorite moves is a left hook. Simple left hook, however you want to throw it, left hook. What I noticed is if I could get my opponent's attention, make him think I was going to throw a jab, if I fired a couple of jabs at him, now he's watching my front hand. Then all of a sudden, instead of jab with the front hand, I would throw a jab with the rear hand. But don't turn the shoulder. Don't turn the shoulder when I throw it. Just stick the rear hand out. And I could incorporate some of the stuff that Bruce Lee showed me in full contact, rather. So watch. Make him think a couple of jabs are coming. Make him think a couple of jabs are coming. Got him looking at the front hand. Got him looking at the left hand. Then all of a sudden, I jab with the rear hand. Boom! But notice I didn't jab his head. What did I jab? I knocked his front hand down. I am now trapped in the front hand. Notice I'm opening him up for my favorite move. Left hook, straight in. Switch sides so you can see how it looks from the other side. I'm here. I'm setting him up, making him think a couple of jabs are coming. Got him looking at the front hand. Then all of a sudden, boom! Notice what I did. I trapped with the rear hand, right in with the left hook upstairs. And this is what I would do. I would take the material that Bruce Lee would show me in terms of the mechanics of the drill. Then I would take the principle, such as economy of motion, independent motion, and I would incorporate that in what I was already doing. Then I would take that spiritual philosophy that he had, that philosophical strategy that he always emphasized, which few schools emphasize today, and I would incorporate that. Then I was able to dig down and tap something which was more innately me. Like, I didn't necessarily like power side forward. Ron fights that way. He's my own sparring partner does that. Jeff Smith, one of the top world champions of all time, he learned to put his power side forward. He's left-handed, he fought left side forward. Bill Wallace is left-handed. He didn't fight with the right side forward. The greatest fighter of all time put his left side forward, become a world champion. So there are people like that. Jeff Smith, Bill Wallace, quite a number of them, who proved Bruce Lee's theories could be adapted in the real world, in the traditional world, and actually bring it across and actually make it work. Now, to sort of wrap this up without a recapitulation, there are a number of things Bruce Lee showed me. What I'm showing you here probably took place in a matter of a month or two. If you work on the drills, you can learn them overnight. But so far as the application of this material, this is complicated stuff. One little forehand strike, a little sidekick, a little leg obstruction. Go out in competition. Try it with your sparring partner one time. It doesn't come easy. You have to work on it. That forehand strike, I worked on it an hour every day for 14 months before I had it down the way I'm demonstrating here tonight. There are a number of other things Bruce got into. Jeet Kune Do is far more complex, far more involved than what I have demonstrated on this brief tape. I just want to give you some insight and sort of point you in the right direction. As Bruce Lee used to say, as I'm pointing at the moon, do not take my finger to be the moon, whatever the heck that meant. So the same thing here. Don't think that what I'm showing you here on this tape, that this is Jeet Kune Do in a nutshell. It was just simply a direction that Bruce Lee, who I worked with personally, pointed me in, and how I took my old fighting stance and I took the movements of Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do that he was working with me on, and was able to transcend some barriers and move myself up a couple of notches so far as proficiency and ability goes. And it really enhanced a multitude of aspects for me. It's in particular my overall self-esteem and my whole sense of well-being, which was able to transcend into having more confidence and more believability in myself. And I was able to take that believability and convert it into a real source of energy and direct and channel that energy towards my opponents with real authority. I was able not only just to run my opponents over, but instead of just running them over, I buried them. It was that energy and that spirit that I got from Bruce that was able to help me do that. And there was a lot of other things we worked on, such as learning how the movement, different ways of moving, staying in motion at all times. A moving target is harder to hit than a stationary target. When you're in motion, it's easier to set your opponent up. It's hard for him to see you coming. But that gets very complicated when you're trying to convert it from a video format and put it into a written format. Now we can pick this up later on, and I hope you'll follow up with me later on when I can take you into some of the deeper modes that Bruce and I were able to venture into. Okay, so from the spirit of Jeet Kune Do, bless your heart, Bruce Lee, this is for you. Until next time, thank you for watching.